So,
Just real quick, can you explain what's going on in Connecticut?
so Connecticut, specifically Hartford, is there's a group there called the Self Defense Brigade, um, and they're experimenting with what anybody would call armed civilian patrols, and it's a direct result of Hartford being notoriously high crime rate, having a notoriously high crime rate, and the cops essentially either not being able to or not doing anything about it, not being the issues not being addressed properly. I should say that. Um, so what they're doing is legally permitted civilians are patrolling the neighborhoods that they live in order to kind of push back against the crime that they're experiencing, in order to maintain an armed presence, sort of like the Black Panthers did when they started cop watching and doing community policing. And I think it's great.
Now to a controversial new armed citizens patrol in Hartford. Organizers say that people will legally carry as they walk parts of the city where violence has taken a toll, though some, including the city's mayor, are raising concerns about the effort. NBC Connecticut's Matt Austin has more.
A group of people look to patrol and clean up Garden Street. Garden Street has seen its share of gun violence, including a double homicide in February, which is what prompted the push for civilian armed patrols.
The people on Garden Street came to us and asked us for help.
While there did not appear to be open carry, which is banned in Connecticut, organizers previously told us those armed would be licensed and have concealed weapons. They were part of Minister Cornell Lewis's self-defense brigade.
We are not vigilantes. We are a group of people that are disciplined, who train, who go to the shooting range.
The effort faces opposition, including from an anti-violence group and the Hartford mayor. Mayor Arunan Arulampalan wrote in part, "Our community has seen so much pain and trauma, and what we need is for those who love this city to do the hard work of healing that pain." The mayor added that the city did not need people being trained to walk the streets with guns and trying to take the law into their own hands.
We'll be patrolling at night, so it's not just a one-time thing. It's going to be on a consistent basis.
Organizers of the patrols argue they are needed, and there are plans to expand them to other parts of the city.
It's one thing when you've got people from the outside coming in and trying to like white knight problems, because we've seen that before, especially when these politicians come in who have never lived in the cities that they or have never lived in the cities that they are running. They moved there right before they started campaigning for office, and they say they live there now.
I live here.
But it's not like you have somebody from the outside saying like, we can fix you. Like a girl with issues looking at a boy who's just been arrested or something like that. I can fix him. It's you have people that have lived there their whole lives saying this is what this city needs, and they know it from experience. I think it is pretty status quo to hear anti-violence groups and the mayor say things like, yeah, we don't need more guns on the streets, because I feel like that's kind of like their thing. They have to say that.
Sure.
But it's interesting when you have an anti-violence group coming out and saying that we don't want them doing that, when by them not doing that, their violence is out of control. And they literally have no idea what is going to happen as a result of this. I mean, it could backfire entirely, but if we look at historically speaking, we'll see that that usually doesn't happen. There are people out there who think of a gun as a talisman. Like the gun is around and people are going to die. And so they don't differentiate between law-abiding or responsible gun owners and criminals with guns. They just equate more guns on the streets with more deaths. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, it's we saw it back in the 60s and 70s with Black Panthers. It works. It definitely works.
Yeah, it definitely works, and it's got to be a real community effort. We look at what's happening in Haiti right now, which I don't have all the information, so forgive me if I misspeak. But we have the gangs who have basically deposed their prime minister as soon as he left the island. They're like, no, you're not coming back. I don't feel like the situation would have gotten as bad as it is if good guys, families, men in the community who are respected had firearms. You're not going to run into the same, looting, and things being destroyed that shouldn't be destroyed. Because not to say that an armed society is a polite society, but it can lean that way.
You know, look at the way like a neoliberal's paradise, a room full of cops. Everyone's a cop. Cops are everywhere.
Mhm.
If you're in a room full of cops and you're intent on doing a bad thing, you're going to be much less likely to do something in a room full of cops than a room full of normal citizens. On the
Yeah.
sole
Like you would have to plan
assumption,
that out to a T. Like,
yeah,
okay, I'm going to do
absolutely,
this, and this. And even still, is it worth it?
yeah, because you know they all have guns.
If you want to get my take on it, I think it's good, but in a bad way. Like it shouldn't have to happen.
No,
Like
I
we shouldn't
agree.
have to be out there 3 nights a week, putting ourselves at risk.
I think it might, to a degree, put you at risk, but I think generally speaking, or at least, you know, this could be naive, but I would hope that being a pillar of the community, people would see those individuals that are out there and maybe think twice about it. But like I said, that could be naive.
What I don't want to see is there to be some sort of retribution where the gang's like, hey, listen, if you're going to be doing this, we're going to show you. And now there's first is graffiti, then things are stolen out the church, and then it's this, and then it's that. I would hate to see that.
The gentleman who runs the self-defense brigade, his name is escaping me right now, and I hate to say that, but he's lived there for a long time. I hope that does have some influence in the way that people treat the group that is trying to be proactive.
Police reform is a big topic of conversation. We want some sort of fix. Like, even if it doesn't look like what everybody imagines it to look like, we want some sort of fix. And it's like, well, community policing, like that's like the word that people like to use. Isn't this just kind of a version of that? Yes, we don't have badges. We don't have the authority of the state, so we can't escalate and force and compel you to do certain things outside of what any citizen can do, right? Because there are laws that govern this. Like here in Texas, if you you can use deadly force to protect a third party.
I think the big difference in these types of situations where you have the community policing its own is the relationships that are already made there and the rapport that's already established. You've got people who have grown up never having a positive experience around cops in their lives. So the second a cop shows up to de-escalate a situation, I did air quotes there, I don't know if everybody saw me, it does the exact opposite just by them being there. But you know, if you have a situation unfolding where violence hasn't taken place yet, you know, having somebody who you've seen as a father figure or a friend of the community show up and say like, hey, you know, what are y'all doing?
Right.
Is significantly better, in my opinion, than having somebody coming up and immediately criminalizing the entire interaction.
I mean, isn't that the point of like a high school football coach? Like, is that one alpha dude in the room who can walk in?
Awesome comparison.
Yeah, you see these two young, you know, testosterone fueled athletes ready to like blow each other's heads off with just their stares alone.
Yeah.
And he can walk in the middle and people are going to turn around. No one's going to hit the coach because that's a bad thing to do. Right?
Yeah, don't do that.
Right. Like, and if somebody did, that kid's done. Not because of what the coach is going to do, but because of what everybody else is going to do to that kid.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. And why is
like
that?
You need that?
Yeah.
Because of the relationship, the love, the father figure, you know, like.
You think like if you had two gun tubers arguing and then Paul Harrell walked into the room and was like,
no.
Children, quiet. You wouldn't shut up? 100%. I'd be like, okay, dude. I mean, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry. An actual legend telling. Yeah, but that's what right. I mean. You know, you 100%. You've got a guy coming in that you respect saying, hey, stop. What you're doing is silly and foolish. Stop. Or figure out a way to make it better instead of just yelling at each other and like threatening to pull out a gun.
Hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your twice weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda. What's up, y'all?
Oh man, not this guy again. Man, not this guy again.
Oh man, not this guy again. That's my boy Taylor, aka Spicy. Fast forwarding a little bit.
Arugula said, to bring in a conservative lawmaker who has fought against essentially every gun safety measure that would make our community safer to teach a course to wannabe George Zimmermans is incredibly irresponsible.
Oh my God.
Wow. Way to say the quiet part out loud, bro. That's a pretty bold statement for someone who gets police protection at any time they want it.
Okay. So we're just gonna.
Oh, that's the best part. Are we the baddies?
Oh my gosh.
No, it's all good.
Oh, bro. Yeah. That's
Wow, that's rough.